Morning Hookup on KFOR.
Good morning, Lincoln, Nebraska. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to the Morning Hookup. It looks like a hurdle. Happy action on a beautiful Tuesday morning. Hope your Tuesday's off to a great start. You got rid of the Monday blues. Time for the Tuesdays. Welcome in. Big night tonight, Nebraska, Oregon, 8 o'clock, Hookup Arena, Big Ten Network. Get into that with Robin Washington. About 10-15 minutes coming up with Robin. Also, big one with Brian Munch today. Hadn't had Brian in a few weeks to talk about portal on Nebraska. Collected their selves and their thoughts and move forward. We'll talk about that. A lot of stories that we missed out there. We're talking NFL. We're going to open up the NFL. There's a lot of stories in the NFL. You'll get your chance to say you were right. I will let you.
Just making sure.
I will let you. You'll get your platform.
It is victory lap time for me.
It is victory lap. Good morning, FloodX10. Good morning, Ernesto. You will get your platform this morning whenever I give it to you. So a lot of that. We'll get into it. You want it now? Would you like it? Is Justice going to come not big time us today?
I think his class schedule has changed.
All right.
So I'm not sure if Tuesdays are still a day for him.
Didn't know if we're getting.
To be fair, that's probably on us to clarify things.
I just know if we're getting big time again today. I mean,
Caleb
kind of big time this yesterday, showing up when he showed up. I'm here, guys. I'll sit over here today. You know, now Justice he gets a little spot. He gets to sit with Sammy Boy.
So on BTN, yeah.
On BTN, and now it's morning hookup. You know, he's not average Joe anymore, probably. You guys might be beneath him now.
He showed yesterday for us too.
Whoa.
Not that we had planned on him, but
whoa. He probably just the way he dresses when he's on BTN and all that stuff, all this network stuff. He probably just like,
He's probably got interviews every single day to go.
He's probably got a new water jug. It's all like it's stainless steel. A 64-ounce stainless steel gallon, whatever it is.
He's graduated from the milk jug.
Yeah. Does he go to class anymore?
Does he need to?
No.
That's the question.
Well, he probably got tired of people or professors going, hey, by the way, you got a paper due. We're going to move it up 3 days. You got to do it today.
Still never heard of a professor moving up a paper last minute.
It's just like Schmidt going, hey, by the way, today we're going to do the average. We're going to do it up to 3:30 today. Sorry, I didn't tell you. I don't care what you got going on. You got it. It's 3:30. You know?
So, yeah, no Justice today.
I just was wondering.
No, but victory lap time?
Go for it. Victory lap yesterday, divisional wild card. It wasn't even wild. You know what? It kind of was wild in that game.
Yeah,
it was wild. It was wild. It was some of the worst football I'd watched.
Up until the fourth quarter. Oh, it's strip sack and interception.
Because any better team than the Steelers would have been BTA for the Texans, the way they played offense.
Oh.
They were awful. Thank God. You look at him going, where's my DC? Because I need to I need to hug him. Because they kept the Steelers in check. The Steelers had every opportunity, but go ahead.
Yeah. I wish I could go find the clip. But as you know, the whole radio station seemingly broke about 2 weeks ago. So,
I am so glad that happened.
Dating back to early August, I had said the script was out on the Steelers season, and that was that they would start off all right. They'd hit a rough patch in the middle of the season. They would come together before the end of the year, and they would sneak into the postseason by the skin of their teeth. And then they'd get blown out in the wild card by whoever they faced. I predicted it would be the Bills, but it was unfortunately the Texans.
Yeah,
just my prediction. But other than that, I nailed every bit of that.
You did.
I said I said exactly what would happen last night would happen.
Credit
They'd
to
get
you.
Blown out in the wild card round.
You also, I think you only missed one game in the wild card, didn't you?
Chargers Patriots.
That's it.
Chargers Patriots, and then I missed.
We're not going to have Marco on Thursdays, and we're going to have Elijah Herbal. Sorry, Marco.
I wasn't picking lines. I was just picking winners. To be fair,
and you did great.
But picking winners is
it just was an interesting game. Now, you look ahead, you move forward with that.
A lot of questions. We're going to get to all the questions in a minute that are surrounding the NFL. Aaron Rodgers had some very open and honest comments last night after that. We'll talk about that. But let's look ahead real quick. Forget that game. Texans defense, phenomenal. Absolutely elite of elite last night. No matter what. No matter the turnovers or whatever that the offense, they only give up 6 points. After all that debacle with the 2 interceptions, with the strip sack, all that. Which was the snap. Oh, God. I don't even give him to. I couldn't even I just shy away. Every time Houston went on offense, I'm like, I got to go to the bathroom. Can we get over this?
Did that feel like from the game level, not the fan base? Throw the fan base and the environment to the side. Just from what you saw on the field, did that feel like a wild card game?
No.
It felt like a battle of two teams battling for the first overall pick.
It felt like Thursday night.
Yeah,
Amazon.
that's what it felt like.
What we were used to getting on Amazon night.
Cardinals Raiders.
Yeah. I mean, just Dolphins Cardinals.
Thursday night.
No Tua, without Tua and Kyler Murray. That's what it was. It just was not. It didn't. Yeah, it didn't. It lived up for the cinematic, but it just was not a very good game. It didn't compare to the other games we got on Saturday and Sunday at all.
It did reach a point where with that last pick six and Aaron Rodgers going over and half-heartedly making a tackle attempt and then bouncing off, I was sitting at home laughing. There was comedy to that for me.
Yeah, my favorite part. So I watched it from the Peyton and Eli scenario because I liked the guests they had. They had phenomenal guests last night. They had J.J. Watt, which we all know his brother was on the other side with Pittsburgh.
So they had Big Ben.
Big Ben was awesome. So I watched it from that side. But if you watched Aaron Rodgers on whatever, but Peyton and Eli were making fun of Aaron the entire game because he was yelling. They're like, who is he yelling at? He wasn't yelling at anybody. He was just talking to himself the entire game, dropping F-bombs. Because there was moments that they watch it like you do. They watch it from a different scenario, from a quarterback's view. There were times where, it must have been 4 or 5 times they alluded to the fact that the running back for Pittsburgh went the wrong way. And Aaron's like, what the? Or the fact that when he got mauled one time, that Gainwell forgot to chip an elite defensive end.
I noticed that one.
Peyton was like, you got to chip that. You know, it just hilarious to watch it from that side.
Is that after that performance? Is that all we see from Aaron Rodgers in the NFL?
I don't know. I want to believe as now maybe
there was a small subset of Steelers fans after the game chanting at him to retire. Did you hear that?
Oh yeah, but I think that's the sentiment for both head coach and quarterback from some of the fans.
That's true.
But as a competitive athlete, not that this is everything, but Aaron got beat up. In your mind, do you want the lasting impression ever to be that your last pass was a pick six?
No.
Does that drive you to come back and want to do it one more time just to get that out of the way? I don't know if that's enough.
The other side to that is you also have to sit back and ask yourself, how are things going to go for me at age, was it 43,
42, whatever, 43?
In the NFL?
I don't know.
Likely no longer with the Steelers. The Steelers, I felt like, were the one team Aaron Rodgers could lead to the postseason.
Yes. But we're going to get to that. I want to talk about the Steelers and the Packers because he had comments about hot seats. But now you're set. Saturday, 3:30. How about we kick it off the right way from Denver at 3:30? We got Bills, Broncos, the 1 seed out there. Solid matchup. Then that night, 49ers, Seahawks. You'll get that. The 7.5 point line on the Seahawks side. Well, I think this Sunday, 2 p.m. matchup, Texans, Patriots, boy, it has a lot to be built up to right now when you look at it. And then your Sunday afternoon or mid-afternoon or whatever, 5:30, Rams and the Bears. Boy, live from Soldier Field. Be at Denver, at Seattle, at New England, at Bears. A lot of intriguing matchups and storylines when you look at the divisional setups. It won't be what the wild card was, because the wild card on paper looked really good. This has potential. I think Bills headed to Denver. Big time matchup.
It's a good game to kick off. I'm surprised they're throwing that at 3:30 on Saturday. A little bit. Is that just me?
Is that the only? Is it only because the West Coast?
I mean,
because the second second game you're gonna get is Niners Seahawks. Maybe it's just where you're at.
Maybe to try to get as good of weather as possible.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be like 50 degrees on Saturday in Denver.
Oh my goodness!
So you'll have decent weather.
So you get those two, and I think, boy, I don't. This next two, like, I not intrigued by the Sunday second game. I am, but I'm not. To me, that feels like a Rams game again. I know I'm just saying whatever. We said the same thing earlier, but the Texans Patriots is going to be a physical football game.
Mm-hmm.
Don't look for, I wouldn't say, look, see that over under at 40.5. 40.5. Patriots have a slight 2.5 point favorite right now. That thing is built up to be like smash mouth. Somebody might get hurt football. Protect your quarterbacks. There's a lot of fun in those matchups coming up. Who do we have?
Who do you think?
Ernesto, are you saying hi? Ernesto, what's up, brother?
Not much. What day is it? Huh?
I know it's Tuesday. What's going on?
I'm jagulated out. Lord.
I tell you, hey, there's a lot to be proud of those Jags, man. The future looks pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the reasons I called, did you see where the local reporter told Liam Cohen, said, "You hold your head up, young man."
Yeah, boy, she's taking some heat for that, isn't she?
Yeah, here locally too. The sports writers, we got deadlines, blah blah blah. No, man. Pat McAfee said no. McAfee on his show, he had a great breakdown of it. It's what it's about. And us as Jag fans, we've been long suffering. We want him to have goosebumps going out and coming back in. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I have thoughts on that, but I have lots of thoughts on that. So continue on, Ernesto. We'll save some of my thoughts for later in the show.
Okay, well, I'll be listening, but I have a bone to pick with you, Elijah. I've been going to the mailbox. I haven't seen my candle for the bet we won, that I won.
That's not ringing a bell. I don't.
Here's the deal. I'll give Elijah a break in this one because weather here has been really good. He hasn't fully embraced candle making season yet.
No.
Every one of us here, we're confused on what to eat at night because it's in the 50s and when you start making candles.
Gotcha. Well,
that's all. It's been a weird weather pattern up here.
How about this? Wait till I send you guys something and it'll have my new address because I'm moving out to the northwest side near where I hunt with my longtime friend, amazing dude. Can't ask for a better friend than Clark Joyner. Hey, and you know what? If you ain't banging, you're getting banged. We got banged. Woo!
That's right. Ernesto coming in hot on a Tuesday. We appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much. So, all right, we're going to table. We're going to do another NFL coming up because I think there's a lot to talk about. There is that reporter to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Tenentious because we're in the media side of this thing.
And I don't want to be too harsh, but there is a big disconnect between how the traditional media and fans perceive that moment.
Yep.
And I kind of want to talk through
why
I see such a gulf there.
Let's talk through that.
That's more my thoughts on what's going on as opposed to my total critiques of that. But there is a gulf between what fans expect from the media and what the media expects from themselves. There's a bit of a difference there.
Yeah. So we're going to do that. We're going to get back to that. And we're going to come back to the NFL and talk about Aaron Rodgers had a lot of comments last night. Again, he's reflecting, but about Mike Tomlin and Matt LaFleur. I think they're very interesting. And in the world of coaching circles and the carousel to navigate through. Because it's real easy to say this and that. It's time for this and that to happen. We've seen it in college football. Penn State went on the edge and said, "Hey, you're done." And it took a long time to get to where they were. We'll navigate those waters probably in the second hour, but let's take a break. Let's turn up it's happy time. Robin Washut, HuskerOnline.com, Nebraska, Oregon tonight. I did hear all those fans last night. I think there's like a lot of that haste right now, especially in Pittsburgh. There's a lot of hasty stuff in Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh has been stuck in football purgatory.
I mean, it's 7 straight playoff losses for Mike Tomlin.
They're
That ties the record.
They're not willing to blow it up and start from afresh because, hey, we make the playoffs every single year, but they're also never in a position to get good enough talent to make a Super Bowl type run.
Yes. It's loyalty is a good thing. Pittsburgh is living the mantra of loyalty to a fault.
Well, and here's the
It's
thing.
their mantra. We don't fire people. We don't. That'll be a situation where I believe Mike's going to have to leave.
Well, no, I don't think they should fire Mike Tomlin, but the GM needs to make some moves on the team to stockpile some draft capital and start afresh. Go get yourself a young, exciting quarterback. And Mike Tomlin, he's not going to want to sit through a rebuild.
No, because look what's up there. Look at what could happen. That division could change overnight next year. Baltimore's out trying to find a coach. That's a ready-made playoff team. Now, does Cincinnati have anything left in them with Joe Burrow? Do they make changes? Are they willing to? I think Cincinnati's a lot like Pittsburgh in their front office.
Mm-hmm.
They're both bad front offices.
I'd agree.
And then Cleveland, who knows who their next coach is? Cleveland's got a defense they can build around. And whoever they bring at the top of that, you're hiring two coaches in the same division. All while in the AFC, New England is passing them by. Buffalo is Buffalo. Jacksonville up and coming. Houston in their defense.
Yeah.
What happens at quarterback in Indianapolis? Because they were on a roll with Danny Dimes.
Well, but the thing is the Steelers, they have enough talent to make the wild card again next year.
Is the AFC flipping around being the toughest conference now? Is the balance of power changing? That's a question.
That's a good question. I'll get Rob online here.
Okay.
Welcome back to the Morning Hookup. Happy Tuesday. Happy Game Day Tuesday. Well, it's Elijah Herbal hanging out with you. Mr. Our guy. Award-winning, well-traveled, from OscarOnline.com, Robin Washington. Washington, what's up, my brother?
What is happening? Glad to have finally a home game for once.
I don't know if we are, man. You're out traveling and following this team around, and they continue to stay undefeated as you're making your travels around. Hey, navigate those travels. Talk to me about, because you're seeing venues. I know you've been to a lot of them, but what is that like? Do you get a feeling when Nebraska is starting to walk into venues from your perspective that it's different when this team's walking in? Like now they're the hunted and not hunting other teams right now?
A little bit. Like I think so. Like around Indiana, for example. Like I think people are like, yeah, Nebraska's good, but like it's not like Michigan State walking in there or Michigan walking in there. I think that there's still some doubt that like, all right, let's see what this team is all about. And then when they lose, it's more like, well, what did we do wrong? Or the refs, hosed us, as opposed to, the general sentiment being Nebraska's actually really good. So I still think that there's stuff out there for Nebraska to prove. And even at 16-0 and doing all the things that they've done to this point, I think that there's still an element of skepticism about just how good they really are. And, that's good news, because if you saw the cinematic recap after the Indiana game, Fred pulled a quote from our partners at the Field of 68 who considered Nebraska a fraud. And granted, they put that in the context of a, legitimate Elite Eight contender. But, still, they put fraud on Nebraska despite all that they've accomplished at this point. And you know what? This team, I don't think they need a lot of extra motivation, but stuff like that fuels them even more. So, that's where like a game like this, yeah, Nebraska's 8th in the country and all that stuff.
against an Oregon team that has struggled this year. They're, I think last I checked, 11.5-point favorites. Like, I don't see this group getting fat and happy because of that. Like, because I still think that they feel maybe unappreciated or disrespected a little bit in terms of, people still questioning if they're legit or not. So, we'll see how that carries over into a game like this. It's their first Big Ten game where they're heavy favorites, but they're also coming back to PBA for the first time in a while. They have students back in the stands for the first time since the Wisconsin game on December 10th. So it should be an electric atmosphere, and with a lot of interior and exterior motivation, I think Nebraska gets the job done.
It's Robin Washut with us here, HuskerOnline.com. And Robin, bigger picture from tonight. This team, there's no team in college basketball right now that is fully complete. All these teams are still working behind the scenes, trying to get better, trying to make a March Madness type run. Where do you see this team still needing to get better? Not to say that they're frauds with that question, but teams just need to still keep on improving through January and through February. And where do you need to see this team continue to make strides and make improvements?
I think you always want more consistency, especially offensively. It's been a while since we've seen one of those just completely take the lid off shooting games where they hit, 17 3-pointers and, put up 90 plus points. And again, that's hard to do in the Big Ten. It's a little easier in non-con play, but it's been a while since they've kind of had that across the board elite shooting performance. I guess the good news is that defensively, I'd say has been kind of the thing they've hung their hat on during some of the hot and cold shooting performances. But even last time out, they really kind of let their guard down on defense against Indiana towards the end of the first half and into the second. And as a result, that dug them into a 16-point hole. Now they were able to lock back in and make the comeback, but in these league games, that's a dangerous game to play. So you just want to see more game to game, half to half, media timeout to media timeout consistency on both ends of the floor, because, this team has done all this in a lot of ways without really playing up to their full potential. You just got to wonder what that picture looks like when they're clicking on all cylinders on both ends.
Robin, talk about the, some of the intangible stuff with this team. Obviously, you got, how do I say it? But talk about like a kid like Cale Jacobson, who is getting everything out of it that he can from an athleticism, he banged a 3 the other night, making some free throws. What is it about this environment and this culture that Fred and staff has allowed that to happen? Because you've seen it with Sam over his tenure with Nebraska, Cale, and there's other players that he's just dragging this potential out of them, and it's paying dividends in key stretches in basketball games.
I'd mostly chalk it up to, obviously getting guys that are willing to put the work in, like Cale and Sam and, many others have. That's where it starts. You got to be willing to get better. Coach can't do it for you. So that's kind of the foundation of it. But then also, I think within this system, if it's proven that if you do what you're supposed to do and are where you are supposed to be and understands how the offense is supposed to work and the defense and all the elements that go into making it successful, you're going to have a real opportunity to play. Like, Cale's not the most dynamic player by any stretch of the imagination, but he's always doing the right things. And when you earn that trust and you have that, steady presence about you, you're going to work your way up the depth chart, because trust is everything at this point. They only played like 7 guys against Indiana. Like, we talked about how deep this roster was. Well, it's getting, pretty shallow here quickly. Now, obviously they can lean on guys more if they want, but there's clearly kind of a core group, and Cale has put himself firmly in that conversation because of his basketball IQ, his understanding of the system on both ends. And now, he's kind of maintained his place because he's making just a lot of winning plays, stuff that doesn't necessarily show up in the box score, like being able to help rotate the ball on the perimeter for an open shot, or playing good defense on a double team, or whatever it may be. Those types of things. And then I finally saw the ball go in for the first time against Indiana. I mean, he made a 3 in the first half. That was his first 3 since the Oklahoma game in Sioux Falls. So like, it had gone 2 months without making a 3-pointer. And just with Berke a while back, like, he missed 10 in a row or 12 in a row over a stretch, and then finally saw one go down, and now he's made 6 of his last 12. Like, and Kale could be the same way, where you actually see the ball go through the hoop. And then later in the second half, he stepped up, made 2 clutch free throws that helped hold on to the win. Like, that could do wonders to getting his confidence back offensively. Because you remember how important he was in the Crown, because he was playing with the most confidence he'd ever played with in his college career. And so if he can get back to having a little bit more belief in himself with the ball, that gives Nebraska one more weapon that they can go to when teams are trying to pick who they're going to take away. When all 5 guys are threats to score on the floor, that makes you almost impossible to defend with the system that Fred runs. So getting Kale more active, confident, and involved offensively is only going to help this team get even better.
Well, Nebraska is, I'm sure you've seen this stat, Robin, still undefeated, 24-0 in games where Kale Jacobson plays 10-plus minutes in his career.
It's incredible. I'm telling you, guys like that, they impact winning. And so, like, he's not going to put up the big stats, but again, there's a reason he's out there, because he's doing everything right. He's making the plays that his coach wants. He has his coach's trust. And, the reason Nebraska's overall team is clicking is because of guys like Kale doing what they're supposed to do more often than not.
Well, the fact of the matter is Nebraska is still winning games with guys like Kale and Sam Hoiberg. I mean, Rink Mast honestly hasn't been playing at his best over the last couple of games. Over the last 7 games, Berke Buktingel has a much better shooting percentage than Rink Mast. Rink's in a bit of a cold stretch. He's hitting threes in big-time moments, but Nebraska is winning, I don't want to say in spite of him, but in spite of him not playing at his best, not playing the way that he started the season off, which I think just speaks to how this roster is constructed top to bottom. It's not about one guy. I mean, you have a different leading scorer almost every single night with this Husker basketball team. Someone steps up, someone's making plays, but it'd be good to see Rink get back to his form to start the season with some of that three-point shooting. It really feels like it's been dating back to, the Wisconsin game, since he's really played really, really well on the offensive end.
Yeah, and it'll come. I mean, he's still one of the leading, if not the leading scorer on the team, so he's getting his numbers. It's just not the efficiency you would want. And I think a lot of it too is, he's having more effectiveness inside, and so they haven't had to rely quite as much on the 3. Whereas like earlier in the season, I don't know if that interior game was clicking the way it is now. So I think that's probably the best thing of all, is that, if Nebraska was in a situation where Rink had to do everything, it probably wouldn't be sustainable, because, that's putting a lot on a guy that, they're already trying to manage his workload and make sure that they keep him fresh over the course of the season. So the fact that he doesn't have to go out there and do everything is a critical part of why Nebraska's 16-0 and why they have a chance to keep this thing rolling for much longer, because it's not just about one guy like it was last year with Bryce Williams. It's not just about, a couple guys like it was with Williams and Gary. Like, they have all 7 guys, maybe even 8, depending on the game, that step on the floor can make impactful plays and put up numbers and score 20 points on any given night. Jamarcus Lawrence just had the best game of his career. Braden Frager is playing as well as any freshman in the conference now. We talked about Kale. We talked about Sam. Price Sanford is one of the best shooters in the Big Ten. And you saw, like, Illinois, he can completely take a game over. So it's just like, go down the list of their rotation. Every one of those players can change a game in their own way and can be the leading scorer. And that does wonders for Rink, to where even when he's not shooting his best, he can still be effective. The offense can still survive without him, where in years past, if the best guy wasn't on, Nebraska's chances of winning diminished significantly.
Again, we're speaking to Robin Wash at HuskerOnline.com. Well, Robin, let's look at tonight. You welcome the Dana Altman Oregon Ducks tonight, 8-8, 1-4 in the Big Ten. Break this thing down a little bit tonight, because you feel like it's an Oregon team and they're going to be well coached. They're not having success right now. I know they've had an injury at the point guard. Talk about their front line, though. 6'9", 6'10", 7 foot. What challenge did that present, and what Nebraska might need to do to be able to keep those guys off the boards and score some points and win this basketball game?
Yeah, that's the big challenge is the length and size they have inside. You mentioned how big they are, but they're long too. They all got big, long arms that cover a lot of space that make it tough when you get the ball inside to have much room to operate. And it starts with Nate Biddle, the 7-foot center. He's an all-league player. Has really kind of had to carry the load with the guard you mentioned, Jackson Shellstat. He's missed the last few games with a wrist injury. We'll see if he's available tonight. If not, that'd be even better for Nebraska. But the key for that for Nebraska is, first and foremost, you got to finish possessions defensively. Oregon's a really good offensive rebounding team because of all that size and length that they have. So it's not just like on Rink and Berkay to go like, big for big on those guys. A lot of it is guys like Sam Hoiberg and Cale Jacobson and Jamarcus crashing the defensive glass to finish possessions. Like, I think you'll see a lot of like Berkay and Rink like clearing their guys out so that their guards can come in and get the rebound. And this could be a game where Sam Hoiberg has another 8, 9, 10 rebound performance because of that. So that's how you negate the athleticism is, you can kind of just put a body on those bigs and let your guards clean up the shot. So that's kind of the key on defense. You can't give Oregon multiple opportunities, even despite their offensive struggles. You give any team multiple cracks, every time down court, they're going to beat you. So that's the key defensively. And then offensively, it's about being smart at the rim. And Oregon likes to chase teams off the 3-point line, just like Indiana does. And they want to funnel the ball inside to where you have to try to shoot over all that size and length. And so, Nebraska still has to be intentional about getting the ball in the paint, getting the ball to the rim. But you can't jump off 1 foot and let them block a shot that turns into a transition opportunity the other way. So it's about picking your spots offensively while still, not settling for, contested 3-pointers because you're scared to go into the rim. So those are the 2 keys to how you combat those sides. You got to finish possessions defensively with rebounds, and you got to find that fine line of attacking the rim, getting the ball into the paint, while also not getting every shot you throw up blocked in your face.
So interesting. When you look at Oregon, their next stretch of games, playing number 8 Nebraska, which is still crazy to say. Then they have number 4 Michigan at home, and then number 12 Michigan State at home. That's a heck of a stretch for Oregon. Compare that to Nebraska, where you have Oregon, you got Northwestern, you got Washington, you got Minnesota. 4 games Nebraska is likely going to be favored in. Robin, is it too early to look ahead and maybe be previewing a top 5 matchup at Michigan at the end of January?
Certainly possible, but as Nebraska fans learn, you got to kind of just focus on the task at hand here, because every team in this league can beat you. Like Michigan lost to Penn State, and then or not Wisconsin.
They almost lost to Penn State.
Yeah, they almost lost to Penn State, and so any team can lose or beat any team in this conference if you're not locked in, ready to go. So yeah, sure, we can talk about being 20-0, and the fans can talk about being 20-0, but internally, I think that's a big part of the maturity that we always discuss with this team, is that they aren't looking ahead. They understand that you have to fall back on that old cliche of one game at a time and make sure you take care of business every step of the way, because if you come in and just go through the motions, it'll get you beat. And they've avoided some close calls in that regard during the 16-0 start, but they've always had the resilience to figure it out. And so as long as they come in locked in the rest of the way over these next 4, I think 20-0 is certainly a realistic scenario because of what you said. They've made it through what was supposed to be the most daunting part of their schedule undefeated. Now you kind of get rewarded a little bit with some on paper more manageable games, but again, if you don't play against Oregon the way you played against Michigan State, you're probably going to, be playing with fire a little bit. So the mentality has to remain the same, even if it is fun to look ahead and think about what could be.
Well, Rob, they are 16-0. Long way to go in the season. I do want to ask about Oogie right now, because obviously didn't play the last couple, was actually out in the last one. Are we at the point now where that is going to be next season for Oogie in this process? Because it seems very finicky with the back and trying to insert him into a rotation and gel. That's number one. Are we there? And then how valuable or how important will it be going forward if that's the case, that Garcia maybe is up doubling his minutes to 8, or maybe a Curtis or someone else can spare some minutes in some type of game time type play?
They haven't had no conversations about redshirting Oogie yet. First of all, he'd have to be approved for a waiver, which that's kind of a coin flip anymore these days. So I think right now they're just planning on, reusing him as much as they can. And he didn't practice yesterday. He's going to be questionable for tonight's game. So, odds are he's probably not going to be available. But, at the same time, Nebraska needs all hands on deck for this year because of what is on the table for them this season. They're not going to limit themselves this year to try to position themselves for next year because the season's too important. There's too much at stake for what they can accomplish this year to hold anything back. And, the other thing with Oogie too is it's a back injury.
Yeah.
I never heard anybody say that has a back injury. All of a sudden I'm recovered from that. Never had any issues with it ever again. It's something that will probably bother him to some degree, maybe for the rest of his life, certainly probably the rest of his career. So there's no guarantee that he's going to be 100% this year or even next year. So the idea of redshirting him with that hope, I don't know exactly where that gets you. So I think if he can play, he'll be available. If he can't, he won't. And they're not worried about a red shirt right now. They don't have to make that decision right now. If it gets to the point late in the season where, it's just clear he's not going to play, yeah, then sure, we can have that talk. But right now, there's this season is too important to sit and think about, well, we're going to hold you back this year to prepare for next year. They need every roster piece available to them, especially a guy that, when healthy, is arguably the second best center they have on the roster. So in the meantime, when he's out, yeah, Leo Curtis will be in that conversation. Jared Garcia, he was the 8th man, only played 5 minutes against Indiana, but he's had meaningful minutes. So I would probably put the top 8 with Jared over Leo at this point, and Leo will play as needed, but fouls happen. Guys get dinged up. You need all the depth you can get. And while some guys might not be playing a lot right now, that doesn't mean they won't be playing late in the year. Go back to last year, Cale Jacobson wasn't playing a whole lot, and then suddenly Nebraska needed him, and he stepped up to the occasion. So Leo could be that guy. Jared could be that guy. Oogie could be that guy. So right now, I think they're content with their 8-man rotation as it stands, but they also understand that you need everybody available to get this thing to where you want it to go.
It's Robin Washington with us here. And Robin, before we get you out, I do need to get your thoughts on the landing spot for Dylan Raiola. He's off to Eugene, a potential Nebraska v. Dylan Raiola matchup in both 2026 and 2027. What do you make of the landing spot? What do you make of just kind of how the Dylan Raiola saga ended up at Nebraska?
It makes sense for him. That's a great spot to be, high profile program, being able to be on a potential championship team. And then assuming Moore comes back, he's probably going to sit next year. So that would give him a year to kind of develop and settle himself in there and hit the ground running to push for the starting job in 27. So, I think it's a good spot for him, for what he wants and also what he's able to do right now. But from Oregon's standpoint, I'm kind of curious about it because he really doesn't fit the mold of really what their quarterback position has become over the last few years, where obviously athleticism is a pretty big part of that position in that offense. And as we all know, Dylan doesn't have a lot of it. So I'm curious to see what his picture looks like a year from now. If he has a year there to kind of groom himself to fit Oregon's system, maybe a little more than he is right now. He's got a lot of talent, but I'm just curious how the fit is going to work for him. And keep in mind, Oregon's the type of school that they're positioned to recruit right over him if it doesn't work. So it's kind of a risk when, you're not guaranteed anything, but it could have some reward for him if that year of development works out and he's able to kind of tailor his game more to what Oregon wants to do. And for Nebraska, I guess it is what it is. Like they can't pay $3 million for a quarterback. They have too many holes to fill and they have too many other needs. So I like the approach of going maybe a little bit more affordable at the quarterback position while getting a guy that maybe athletically fits what you want to do more. And then using those resources that you're saving at quarterback to go help your lines and address some of the other glaring needs that they need to fill this offseason.
Well, also GM of the Giants, Robin Washut. What are you telling Harbaugh right now in convincing him to be the next Giants head coach?
I'm saying, for one, out of the teams that you're looking at, the Giants are the only one that have a quarterback. They've got young pieces on the perimeter. They've got Abdul Carter. They've got a defensive. They have Brian Burns, an all-pro rusher. They've got a decent offensive line. I'm not going to say they're good. They still need some help, but I think the Giants are positioned to get better far more than the Dolphins, far more than the Falcons, and it's a lot of it because of the quarterback position. And my pitch would be don't worry about Joe Shane doing anything. He has no say in our operation. He's just a guy that is there to sign paperwork. You have full control over everything that we do. That will not be a limitation to how you want to build this franchise whatsoever. That would be my biggest pitch, is this guy is just here to shake your hand and pose with you at the press conference.
Signed, sealed, delivered. I'm yours. Robin Washut, Jim of the Giants. Well, Robin, man, appreciate your time, my brother. Take care of yourself, and I'll be headed down the steps today to say hi.
Sound good. We'll see you in a few hours.
Appreciate you. Robin Washut, HuskerLane.com. Great stuff from him. Let's take a break. Come back, and we'll jump in more a little of the NFL. Feels like if nowadays, if you just they're talking about Oogie's, if the waiver would be granted, just sue the NCAA. They have just sue them. That's what you're gonna win, right? You're gonna win. Trinity in the win. Trying to make heads or tails because sometimes you get yourself locked in the Twitterverse. You don't know what's real for sure. I don't like rumblings of Eckler's name being in the Twitterverse right now.
Yeah, with USC?
I don't like it.
It's interesting.
I don't like it. And you read all across the board, and then it gets into your algorithm, and then it just keeps showing up. I'm very interested in what's happening.
I don't. It's interesting because one of the reasons he came back was family.
Yeah,
being closer to, I think it was parents. And
a lot of that.
Yeah,
but now what?
Let's see, this is live.
It might be just a good leverage play too. I mean, arguably, maybe. I mean, no, probably not. He's your best assistant coach last year.
Oh, unquestionably,
right?
There's no argument for me that
At
there's
all.
anyone that has more of an argument.
My argument is man, can't you some of those guys that are still here hanging on, coaching tight ends or special assistant to the special teams coach? Some of that money could be allocated, couldn't it?
What was that really good idea we had for a segment from the NFL whenever we were waiting to get Robin on the line?
The reporter.
Ah, yes.
I'm going to ask you about the Jags reporter.
Yeah.
And then the second hour we go back, there's coaching talk. I think that's fairly interesting. The reporter, who is so sweet and nice. I can find the comments though. It was made a big deal out of.
Congratulations.
I don't think the stream can hear that, but
No. Duval. It's really cold in this room today. I tried to hold out and not say anything.
it's warm in here.
It's cold in here.
Flippy spots.
It's still cold in my house too. Said the company came, which I love. I would never. I'm not. Yep. Came and fixed it. It was running when they left. I know it was. Stace went to bed last night. She goes, "It ain't working."
We're coming back here.
Welcome back to the Morning Hookup special thanks to Robin Watch at HuskerOnline.com. You guys got to go check Robin out. If you don't follow, go follow him. He's also starting to do these posting pregame videos from the gyms that he's at. Pretty cool stuff. So check that out. What also was kind of cool, I don't know if people thought it was real cool. Jags, this sweet lady, Jags reporter. There's so much hate in the world, and I get it. There's going to be questions.
She wanted to provide a little cheer, a little lift up, a little spirit to their head coach. This is well. Let's see what does she have to say to him? Did she bring like muffins with her? What do you think? I don't know. I felt like the love for it. Like that's a long, tough, grinding season, and
I think some of the reaction has been a little unnecessary. I do think it's slightly unprofessional in that, and I want folks to understand that as folks who have worked in media and like gone to school for journalism and whatnot, that kind of flies in the face of what we've been taught both from employers and college classes on how to go and be a journalist, because the media, let me lay this out. You don't see yourself as a voice for the fans. You as the media person sees yourself as kind of this intermediary between, hey, you with your access, you get to provide the fans a service. You get to be somebody who is the intermediary between the team and the fans. Hey, the fans get better access to the team and the team gets to get their message out to the fans. Rather than inserting yourself into the story, you are kind of the messenger for the story. And that's what I think the sticking point here is fans out there don't see it that way. They see the media as the mouthpiece, the spokesperson for the fans, which that's not how the media sees themselves. My take on that entire thing is fine message. I don't think the post-game press conference is the place to do it. Write it in your column and send it over to them, or send it over to the Jaguars PR team and have them forward it to them. Like the post-game presser is a time to get information for your stories and for the next month where you're probably not going to have much access to the team as the playoffs continue on.
Especially in that moment when your season's over.
And there's a way you can phrase a question in order to get that type of response out there. It's, hey, there's a lot of fans that are disappointed in how the season ended, but they're very encouraged by the progress they saw this season. What message do you have for those fans? You can get a similar type response to pass along. Hey, the fan base is still impressed and happy with this season, despite how things ended. So I think there's a way that you can be smart about asking that question or asking a question, because there's no question there to be asked, in order to get across your point.
I agree. I think with that, I was going to say that,
but the reaction is overblown.
The timing and the setting were wrong in that situation as a reporter and as a liaison, as a private access individual for the fans connected to the team. Timing and setting wrong.
But also,
I do think the hate, the narrative at that is all wrong too. Right.
Well, it underscores to me just the changing nature of the media in sports. Fans want their media to be closer to fans than ever before. It used to be, hey, you show up, you put all your fandom to the side. You're not a fan whenever you're a reporter. That's changed. Let's be honest.
Yeah, because we know a lot of reporters or media. You go to and sit at games where you're in the media row or in the box, and you're like, you're there for a purpose.
In that moment, I'm not a fan. I'm working.
And it's hard to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's hard because you can't wear red to games.
No. And people get mad. People in the stream chat, why aren't you guys wearing red?
You can't.
Well, we're not fans.
You're not fans.
We're working.
I'm
media.
providing a service to you, for you. We'll be right back.
And the power goes out. Will your family still have heat, light, and communication? The Grid Doctor 3300 solar generator from My Patriot Supply gives you serious off-grid power. It'll run heaters, refrigerators, medical devices, and more without gas or noise. Right now, you can double your power for free with a free expansion battery when you order the Grid Doctor 3300. Go to MyPatriotSupply.com and get your Grid Doctor 3300 today. That's MyPatriotSupply.com.
I'm Saniqua Martin Green, and when my mother was diagnosed with cancer, our world changed forever. This experience made me so passionate about spreading awareness of treatment options, including clinical trials. I'm joining Stand Up to Cancer to get information to those who have been diagnosed with cancer and their loved ones. Clinical trials introduce new hope for patients, providing access to cutting-edge new treatments. Talk to your doctor to see if a clinical trial may be the best choice for you or a loved one. To learn more, visit standuptocancer.org/clinical trials today.
Pillar Restaurant Group is Lincoln's home for celebration. With a hand-cut steak and seasonal cocktails for your anniversary at Venue Restaurant and Lounge, a pitcher of mimosas and brunch favorites for your birthday at Piedmont Bistro, a 16-inch sub and freshly made cookie after your kids win the big game at Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs, or for your wedding in a luxurious downtown ballroom with Venue Catering and Events. Drink, dine, gather with Pillar Restaurant Group. Learn more and order a gift card for your next celebration at prgnebraska.com. That's prgnebraska.com. Venue at Home is Lincoln's premier meal prep service. Prepared in-house by our chefs, ready for you to heat and eat. Build your own package from our wide selection of items, including healthy bowls, saucy pastas, fresh salads, starters, sides, desserts, and more. Subscribe and join our rewards program to get discounts on every order. Get your order delivered in Lincoln and surrounding towns, or pick it up at our Venue at Home storefront. Order today at our brand new website, venueathome.net. That's venueathome.net.
Why's the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling on it.
The dad joke. Corny, grown-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
What did the buffalo say when he dropped his son off for school? Bye, son.
So take a moment to make your kid laugh, because dad jokes rule. Make your kid laugh today. Go to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors when you need more comfort for yourself. Use as directed.
Lincoln's local news, talk, sports, and weather station. FM 101.5, 1240 AM, KFOR, and KFRX HD3, Lincoln.
From ABC News, Sherry Preston. President Trump once again urging Fed Chair Jerome Powell to lower interest rates, even though the inflation rate remains above the Fed's targeted level for doing so. On his way to Michigan, the president saying,
the inflation numbers just came out and we have very low inflation. So that would give Kool-Aid Powell the chance to give us a nice, beautiful, big rate cut, which would be great.
Actually, the Fed set a 2% inflation rate as the benchmark for lowering interest rates. New numbers from the Labor Department this morning show inflation remains at 2.7% year over year. A growing number of Republicans are lining up to defend Fed Chair Jerome Powell in the DOJ investigation against cost overruns at the Fed.
Senator Tom Tillis labeling it amateur hour, saying the investigation calls into question the credibility of the Justice Department. Tillis, a key Republican who also sits on the Senate Banking Committee, threatening declined to block any of the president's future Fed nominees until the investigation into Powell is resolved.
That's ABC's Rachel Scott. The death toll from nationwide protests in Iran has spiked to more than 2,000 people. President Trump canceling plans to talk with Iranian officials and posting a statement reading help is on the way. Here's ABC's Ian Pannell.
Iran's foreign minister shifting blame, saying demonstrations have turned violent because Trump said he would intervene if there was bloodshed. Human rights activists reporting more than 640 people have been killed since the protest began 2 weeks ago. Over 10,000 arrested.
Iran has allowed people to start making phone calls once again. Cancer survival rates up, says the American Cancer Society's Chief Science Officer, Dr. William DeHutt.
Our science is finding really better therapies, changing the lives of folks. And really, we've doubled the 5-year survival rate for people with metastatic disease now.
You're listening to ABC News.
It's between all the holiday parties,
weekend tailgates,
and family get-togethers.
We've been overindulging a little more than usual over the holidays. But now we are starting the new year off on a healthier note by taking active liver supplements from New Nordic every day.
Active Liver contains a powerful blend of turmeric, milk thistle, and globe artichoke extract, all natural ingredients that help protect the liver so that it can protect you from toxins. It's like giving my body a daily detox. I've never felt better, and my energy is through the roof.
And my doctor is already impressed with how much better my numbers are looking. So if better health, more energy, and detoxing your body are some of your priorities this year, get Active Liver today and start the year off knowing you're giving your liver some well-deserved relief.
Active Liver is available online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com. Or pick some up today at your local CVS, ShopRite, Meijer Grocery. Are now available at Wegmans. New year, new you.
Proceeding ahead with a resolution to expel a state lawmaker. Good morning, I'm Jeff Modes. We're at 47 degrees at KFOR. The Nebraska Legislature's Executive Board held a hearing for about 2 hours on Monday morning on whether or not to go ahead with a resolution to expel Amherst Senator Dan McCune for allegedly inappropriately touching a legislative staff member last year. The resolution moved forward on a 9-0 vote from the legislature's Executive Board and will go before lawmakers today. Perry Persh is McCune's attorney.
I ask you to vote no because the cause for expulsion is not supported by the kind of clear, fair, and competent process and record that should precede this unprecedented action.
Also testifying Monday at the hearing was Tara Paulson, who conducted an investigation into McCune.
The evidence in my investigation found, by Senator McCune's own admissions, that he made a sexually oriented joke and engaged in unwelcome physical contact with complainant. In light of the legislature's workplace harassment policy, I determined Senator McCune's conduct and comments should not be tolerated because they may contribute to or foster a hostile work environment.
Again, the debate on LR 282 is set to take place this morning. A bill introduced Monday, Nebraska federal last fall, converted a rehabilitative focused state prison into an ICE detention facility in McCook. LB 963 from Omaha Senator Terrell McKinney seeks to avoid any state federal immigration agreements without legislative approval. That would include the most high-profile case in which Governor Pillen and the Nebraska Department of Correctional Services agreed to lease the state's work ethic camp to U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. McKinney's bill also seeks to narrow state law and say that the Nebraska Department of Correctional Services can house offenders under only state laws, not any law. Lincoln's first forecast today, mostly cloudy. Still had chance of rain here through the afternoon. Otherwise, staying cloudy. We'll see highs up around 60 this afternoon. I'm Jeff Motes, KFOR News.
Bag huge savings on your painting projects at Menards. From your kitchen and bath to doors and trim and even your ceilings. Dutch Boy has the perfect choice for your painting projects. Dutch Boy's Durafighter is a tough paint and primer that provides great scrub resistance and durability. Durafighter interior paint starts at $27.75 a gallon. Get an additional 15% savings on all Dutch Boy paints when you put it in the bag. See store for complete details.
Save big money at Menards.
Make hauling easy with the MWC Park Can Easy Dump. This satellite dumper goes where big garbage trucks can't and can haul everything from trash to yard waste to recycling. The fully automatic Easy Dump fits in the back of a standard pickup truck, so there's no need for a CDL license. Perfect for alleys, gated communities, condos, parks, anywhere.
This is the Morning Hookup on KFOR.
Welcome back in the morning. Hookup. Again, happy Tuesday, hour number 2. Thanks for hanging out with us. Coming up momentarily, we'll have Brian Muntz with HuskerOnline.com. Oh, Nebraska's winning in the portal. Might win again today with another target out there on your favorite spot. Music 2 years, wasn't it? Hogmallers. Big nasty about that. This song was thematic, though. Stuck in the middle. Are the Packers stuck in the middle with Matt LaFleur? No. They might be. Well, there's so much things like that. Mike Tomlin, we talked about briefly what goes there, what happens there.
Matt LaFleur, he's on a 1 year. He's still got 1 year left. What are the Packers thinking? Are they thinking ahead? I think it brings up that conversation about careful what you ask for conversations, I believe, in this world. I go back, I think about what Penn State, what they navigated when they got rid of James Franklin, how long it took to get to the whatever nth power, 8th alleged coach that they got. It just feels like some of those are – I feel like the LaFleur thing is careful what you ask for. Yeah. Now, in return, you could get John Harbaugh. You could get Harbaugh there because of the connection with agents. But the Tomlin, I think, is a way different conversation. I think it's that point of that's the definition of chaos. It's what's happening in Pittsburgh right now, right? Or what's the definition of insanity? Keep doing the same thing over and over and over, getting the same result over and over and over.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I feel like about Pittsburgh.
I mean, you can make the same argument for LaFleur.
Yeah.
They're winning NFC North titles. They're making the postseason. They made, one NFC championship game in the past? Or that's in his tenure. Is it one NFC championship game during his tenure?
I think it's
and they didn't win that one?
One in its tenure.
They could be stuck in purgatory a little bit too.
Mm-hmm.
They always have a salty defense. They always have a solid running game. Jordan Love elevates them to one of the top offenses in the NFL on a year in, year out basis. And what happens? They stumble in the postseason.
Yep.
I personally don't think they move on from LaFleur.
I don't think they do either.
Packers fans, and I think more than we just talked about the influence of fans over media to end last segment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure that enough folks out there understand or realize the importance of just butts in seats for a team. If Packers fans are still showing up and they still have belief in LaFleur, you don't want to be the team that moves on too quick and now everyone's killing you for the Titans. For example, the Titans with Vrabel. Everyone with the Titans was upset that they moved on from Vrabel because the front office and the ownership thought they knew better. And I don't think it would necessarily be the same with the Packers unless LaFleur goes off and finds success elsewhere. But you don't want to be, or you can look at the Mavs moving on from Luka Doncic and how PO'd all their fans were at the front office and the ownership. The opinions and the sentiment of the fans matter. And I don't think the fans of the Packers are ready to move on from LaFleur yet.
Aren't Packer fans exactly like Nebraska football fans? They're sometimes taken for granted.
Yeah.
They're going to show up.
Yeah.
They're going to show up no matter who's there. Different, unique. Pittsburgh might get a little angry.
A little bit.
Pittsburgh might get a little angry and just go, I'm not going. Packers, they're like, well, it's what we do. So it's interesting how that all unfolds. What's really interesting, how these games are going to go. It just starts. Boy, get yourself prepared on a Saturday. If you got stuff to do, you got games on Saturday, you got to call a game.
No, I preseason requested this off. I requested off the next 2 weekends. I was
like, yow.
I was like, I have a feeling my Broncos.
CBS. I can't wait till we bring Brian Munson on and let you guys debate who wins this.
Oh, I forgot about that factor.
Oh, it's written down.
Broncos 1.5 point favorites.
Yes. 1.5 point favorites. Is that what it's on? No, I'm seeing the Bills. Bills are 1.5 point favorites.
I had this flip overnight on my line.
You did? Whoa.
I'm checking from ESPN here.
Right.
Odds from,
I'm just
odds
on
from DraftKings.
CBS right now, so maybe they have not changed. Regardless, it's a one-score thing. It's pretty much a pick 'em, whichever way you look at it. What gives in this one, man?
Oh yeah, no. So the Bills open as 1.5 point favorites. I'm seeing. Well, it depends on where you go.
I know it's all over the board.
DraftKings has Broncos as 1.5 point favorites. Caesars Sportsbook has the Bills as 1.5 point favorites. FanDuel's got Bills as 1.5 point favorites. BetMGM's got the Broncos as 1 point favorites.
Whoa.
Fanatics, Broncos half point favorites. So essentially a pick 'em. It's wow. It's all over the place. That's interesting.
The question for me in this one is obviously there's documented problems have been with the Bills defense. Sean Payton going to be able to navigate that mastermind on the play sheet, putting Bo Nix in that offense in plus position.
The question to me,
I think they're defensively, we know where they're at.
For as much as, I mean, the people are going to circle Josh Allen and Bo Nix in the quarterback battle going into this one. It might not go further than just the running game. The Bills have one of the top rushing attacks in the NFL.
Yep.
The Broncos are great at getting after the passer and making quarterbacks uncomfortable in terms of stopping the run. They're above average, but they're not elite. Flipped around for the Broncos. Since J.K. Dobbins has gone down, their running game has not been what it was previously.
The same.
But the Bills' run defense is leaky. Very leaky, and the Broncos have one of the best offensive lines in football.
Yep.
This is an interesting stylistic matchup where people are going to talk about Josh Allen and Bo Nix, and man, that battle, and Bo Nix trying to get revenge after what happened in the wild card last year where Josh Allen just smoked the Broncos. But it might come down to James Cook and RJ Harvey.
Yeah.
Jaleel McLaughlin. Like, there is the running game element of this one, I think, is what makes or breaks this game.
And I think it also could come down. I agree with you on that. Come down to the multiple ways they use those running backs in the offense. Because Harvey can leak out and catch some passes and be dangerous in space.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I it's sometimes when you look at offensive coordinators, they don't do that enough with aggressive defenses in like 100% run type plays. And there's like a nice little screen play that comes up, stops that defensive from being so aggressive coming at it. So that'd be something to watch. I agree with you on that.
The Broncos made two big offseason changes defensively to try to counteract what happened in the playoffs last year against the Bills. The Broncos linebackers last year were just in hell playing the Bills because they're not good enough against the pass. And once they started respecting the pass too much, that Bills rushing attack really got things going. So the two guys they brought in were Dre Greenlaw and Hufanga, both from the 49ers. Dre Greenlaw, top tier pass defending linebacker, but man, he comes down and fills downhill. And then Hufanga as well, the physical element he brings to the running game or the running attack, while also being pretty salty on the back end as a pass defender. Those are the two guys the Broncos brought in for a game like this. So I have those two guys circled going into this game. Flip it around for the Bills. It just all comes down to me, their ability to run the football.
Yep.
Because if you can keep those Broncos pass rushers from pinning their ears back, that's the big advantage for the Broncos defense at Mile High is your offense has to go silent count, and Jonathan Cooper and Nick Bonito can time up your snap count and get off the ball quick. That makes things really, really, really tough for your offensive line. You know what takes that away from them? If they have to be worried about the running attack while trying to get to the quarterback, you have to play your running assignments first. You can't just pin your ears back and try to get around the edge, timing up the snap count. If the Bills can get themselves to third and shorts, it might be a long day for that Broncos defense.
I agree. The night matchup, Niners headed to Seattle, the 1-seeded Seattle.
This is the biggest line of the weekend.
I don't even know what to say about the Niners. Like, what to describe them as. It's like the Undertaker come out of retirement every single week for these guys. And again, this one, I think losing Kittle was a major blow for sure.
The Seahawks are the more talented team.
Both sides of the ball.
But the 40, absolutely both sides of the ball. And I don't think it's particularly close. That's why you see the 7.5 point line for the Seahawks. The 49ers have the championship pedigree and the experience in the postseason.
And you got Kyle Shanahan.
Shockingly enough, the quarterback I trust more going into this matchup is Brock Purdy. He hasn't been spectacular in the playoffs, but he's been good enough. And flip it around, Sam Darnold had his postseason struggles.
Yes.
But he hasn't had a whole bunch of experience there. And maybe what happened last year with the Vikings is what he needed. That was a good Vikings team last year I think they were a big favorite in the game that they lost, correct?
Yes. And they're coming off. They just faced each other not too long ago.
That was on that week 18?
January 3rd.
Yeah, week 18.
Last week. 13-3. Niners.
Mm-hmm.
Winner. They faced each other twice, right? Are they not? Just once.
Yeah, they're NFC West.
They were both, by the way, combined points in this thing back in. It was early. It was in September. Opening week. 17-13. Seahawks lost. They've lost twice.
Tough to beat a team 3 times.
I hate that.
But I think the Seahawks are going to need to go.
I think they win this.
Put up some points. I think they win this thing.
Yeah.
That 49ers defense is just all right.
Yep. And real quick, the other two games, but Texans, they got to head out to Foxborough, play the Patriots. Boy, what we mentioned earlier, this is going to be a heavyweight fight, I think.
Oh, yeah. Look, do you have concern? I think
major concerns Houston's offense.
I think Steelers defense and what I saw from the Patriots against the Chargers, I mean, that's going to be another tough matchup for the Texans offense. They're just all right. Their running game's just all right. And I think CJ Stroud, ever since his rookie year, has just been all right. But that Texans defense is legit. They're for real. They're going to be flying around and hitting.
This will be one where if you noticed Pittsburgh last night, obviously it did not pan out. Like Aaron Rodgers, quickest out of the hand in the entire NFL. And there was a lot of talk about dead ball and all this ball holder and things like this. The Patriots had to be quick and efficient on offense, try to not let those guys get to Drake May as much and hold the ball, knowing when to get rid of it. Try to get ahead of the sticks. You get behind the sticks against that defense, you might as well punt.
Yeah, you got to run the ball effectively.
Yes, and they've got a guy that can do it.
They got 2 guys, Travion Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson.
Right. Both can do it.
One of the best running back duos in the NFL this year, in my opinion. They have a good offensive line running the football. Yeah, take the pressure off of Drake May, your rookie quarterback. He played well on Sunday, but you want to take against this defense. You want to take the pressure off. If he's getting smoked in the pocket, it's gonna be a long night for the Patriots.
I feel like this is a yucky special teams play or like a yucky 5 field goals versus 4 field goal type game.
I was somewhere in like the 20-17, 17-14
15-12.
15.
Where to be that. Then the nightcap, not nightcap.
That might be a first team to 17 type game.
The 5:30 affair NBC. You have Rams Bears. Bears getting 3.5 in this matchup. I don't know what to make of this.
I don't know what to make of Stafford because after that, I feel like after that weird hand injury he suffered against the Panthers, he looked off, but then he goes down and leads a game-winning drive when they need it the most.
Well, he's a tough, you know what?
Their offense, there's going to points aplenty in this game.
He's just a tough, you know what?
The total is set at 50.5. I think that feels low for this game. I don't see the Bears defense slowing down the Rams offense in the slightest. And that's they're going to need some splash plays, some takeaways, or some sacks. But and their game plan against the Packers was in the second half, they were bringing pressure, making Jordan Love uncomfortable. If you bring pressure against Stafford,
I dare you.
He's going to pick you apart with Puka. Oh, yeah. Go leave Puka and Devontae Adams in single coverage with Matt Stafford throwing the football and see what happens.
And that first half leads me to believe the fact that the way that first half of the Packer-Bears game, when they put up 21, leads me to believe that there's going to be points upon points on the Rams side of this.
I think this is a bad matchup for the Bears.
Yep.
But Caleb Williams showed himself to be capable of throwing on his Superman cape. And if this turns into a shootout, Caleb Williams against – I understand why this is Sunday Night Football because it's got shootout potential.
It does.
It's got shootout potential with that Bears offense against the Rams offense. I'm looking forward to that one. What game do you have circled? What's the most intriguing matchup in your eyes?
The first one.
I'm first.
The first one and the third one.
I'm with you.
I'm going to go just because
the only matchup I'm not too enthused by is 49ers Seahawks.
That's the one. Yeah, I think that's the one that has potential to be a sleeper just a little bit based on I think that if the Seahawks get going, the Niners aren't probably built to come back. And I think the Niners got to do a little bit more trickeration type plays to get the Seahawks off balance.
I do think they have a better head coach. And that means
a lot.
That means a lot in the NFL.
They do. So, all right. Speaking of
well, if you're going better head coach, you're probably going.
Well, Sean McVay's one.
Yeah, right. Well, if it's a better head coach, it'd be a Broncos, Niners, Patriots, Rams weekend.
Oh yeah, yes. If we're picking the bracket on coaches, you just landed it.
And I think that's a factor that we can talk about the teams all you want, but in the postseason, the head coach that gets his team with the right game plan, gets them with the right mindset, means a lot.
And then after that, you start talking about the quarterback situation, what that looks like from postseason, right? Been there, done that, have been through the grind. So, oh boy. Well, let's take a break because I'm going to have you guys, we're going to speak of a matchup coming up. It's going to be Elijah Herbal and Brian Munson from HuskerOnline.com when we return. I went from 37. I'm at 26,558 now.
Wow, you're moving on up.
You guys are listening. I'm trying to get Stapleton tickets. This is the best thing I've ever encountered. I didn't know this existed. I got in the queue because it's lobby and stuff now. I was in queue 10 o'clock and 30 seconds, let's say. And when it first jumped on, I was 38,000 in line. I made it to 26,558. 25,258.
I'm going to the bathroom real quick. We have time.
Well, you can make time, can you?
Yeah.
You're the boss, but you can make the time. Good morning, Shane. Good morning, Todd. Thanks for hanging out with us. You guys are having a great day. Great start to your days. Excuse me.
Right on time.
You nailed it. I wasn't worried.
Okay, I'll get Brian on the line here.
Oh, don't bring up any of the conversation yet. I want you guys. This is going to be fun for me. Fuel to the fire.
Welcome back in the morning hookup. Walking away from this. Mrs. Scholar and gentlemen from down south, Brian Munson, HuskerOnline.com. B, what's up?
I think at this point last week I was just coming out of surgery, so that would have been a very interesting conversation. I think there would have been a lot of swear words. The FCC would have been involved. Probably a lot of things would have happened. So yeah, we're feeling better. We're feeling better.
Good. I'm glad to hear. Well, that would have been better for what I'm about to ask you. Oh boy.
It's a grudge
There's
match.
a grudge match coming up, and the NFL. Elijah Herbal is a Bronco. Brian Munson is a Buffalo Bill. What say both of you? Make your Make your case for each of your team. Who's going to win, and which one do you have the better chance to give the Ben Johnson handshake to the other one?
Brian, I'll let you go first. Please, you're our guest.
Well, I mean, Buffalo had a chance to see Knicks and Denver last year in Buffalo, and I think they took care of them pretty handedly. It's not the same team this year. They've got another year under Knicks's belt. The defense is better this year than what they have than what they had last year. They're not the number one seed for nothing. I think that they played fabulously throughout the season, but I would go back and I do find some credence here, and it may be flawed logically, but I do. I mean, one of the two teams that Denver has lost to, Buffalo just beat last week at home, and I think it sets up for a very good game this weekend between Denver and Buffalo. There are some important names that have found their way onto the injury list, like Gabe Davis this last week, which definitely hurts. But one name that I have been excited to hear come back, into the practice, possibilities is Ed Oliver. Ed Oliver, it seems, is back at practice. I think that he could be a real game changer along that defensive line. I'm half tempted to probably, put in a Buffalo Bills squeak it out kind of thing. But you know what I give the edge to? I give the edge to 5, 6, 7 years of having to, strap it on and go to Kansas City and play against Mahomes or go get beat by Joe Burrow. I think that they showed some moxie last week. I think that they showed that they're not going to go on the road and just continually get beat by playoff teams. But I would be tempted to say that Buffalo can pull that one out this weekend.
Well, see, to me, it comes down to which team runs the football better. Bills have one of the best rushing offenses in the NFL. And it's funny because everyone's going to talk about Josh Allen and Bo Nix and the quarterbacks. And I get it. That's what makes the NFL their money. They're the stars. But this is, to me, a run the ball type game for the Bills. If they run the ball with success, I don't think the Broncos stand much of a chance. But if the Broncos can slow them down and turn the Bills offense into an air raid type Josh Allen, put on your Superman cape type game, the Broncos can pin their ears back. They have one of the best secondaries in the NFL. That's the question to me is, can the Bills run the ball with success? They did very, very well last year, but as you kind of laid out, this is a different and better Broncos defense this year. If they can shut that faucet off for the Bills, the Broncos give themselves a chance.
I don't know. Does anybody have a readout on the weather conditions this weekend? I didn't bother to take a look.
Low 50s throughout the day. It's supposed to get colder at night, but because it's a day game, we're talking somewhere in the low 50s. So nice weather in Denver.
Oh, that's like Miami. That's like Miami, going to Miami for these guys. I mean, dude, they've been digging out of snow, and I couldn't find that to be any better of a scenario. I honestly was a little bit worried that they would be a little too frozen to go down to Jacksonville and play in 60+ degree weather.
What's interesting is this is the first Broncos home game of the year where the temperatures aren't going to reach 60 degrees during the game. It's been a very unique Broncos home slate with the weather.
Man, I can really get behind this whole global warming thing.
Oh man, that's so
well, there
good.
You go. That's probably a good little thing to put out there on the web itself.
It is so good. Again, we're speaking to Brian Munson, HuskerOnline.com. Well, B, when you first said you were having a procedure done, I thought it was the portal had did you in, but apparently you made it out and successful. But here we are, and I'm glad you're back with us. But again, let's go back. I know maybe a week or so ago, there was a quarterback, and I got my air quotes up, committed to Nebraska, no ink dried. Less than whatever minutes, seconds later, you don't have them. The group gets back together. Elijah and I talked about it. We thought this would be a big 48 hours after that happened. Ooh, not so fast, as Lee Corso would say. It took shorter time than that. You get another quarterback. You get your quarterback. Talk about that whole way, that feeling of the portal, because you felt like Nebraska was about to lose, and since then they've continued to win. But you bring one on. You got Anthony Calandria. Talk about, just start with him, because there's a plethora of individuals that have signed on with Nebraska. But I think it starts right there with a big get from Nebraska.
No, I think it is. I think Anthony is a very interesting dude. I mean, I've got a couple of things in the hopper for content, and I don't want to tip my hand too much, but it's obviously fresh on my brain. You know, I think what this kind of designates, I think, for Nebraska is a complete and total, you know, different approach to how things can go offensively under Dana Holgorsen. You've gone essentially from a very stationary quarterback in Dylan Raiola to a guy now like with Anthony, where he can scramble and he can make plays happen, and you know, it really comes down to, I think, just kind of quickly diagnosing, you know, whether you're in a bad play against the defense that you're seeing, or he can, you know, as early identify that things are going wrong, like a wide receiver got, you know, fell down on a route, to where he could then, you know, tuck it and run it. And I think that with the improvements, I think that Nebraska is, you know, potentially making within the portal, you know, along the offensive line, I think that helps out as well too, to kind of get it to more of a stalemate, to avoid, I think, the basically having, you know, all those guys on the other side of the line of scrimmage, you know, and he's dancing around, moving up, moving back. As long as he can kind of keep those guys in front of him, I think he can find running lanes just as easily as he can find passing lanes. I mean, and he's going to have to. He's a 6 foot tall quarterback. But I mean, as I said, you know, in my kind of commitment article about him last Wednesday, it's, you know, unless you're Brock Osweiler, you're not really seen over the top of any of those offensive linemen. You're always looking for lanes to get the ball through, you know, when it comes to your offensive line. You're always staring at the back of their helmets. So I think Colin Dara, I think is how you say his name, I probably just completely butchered it. I think he is in a response to what Nebraska feels like they have lacked on offense when it comes to quarterback mobility. And, you know, to kind of see also then the 2026 quarterback, which they just brought in for a visit, you know, what they feel like they can do with him. He's a very similar looking good, the Tanner Vibable kid from Las Vegas. He's a very, you know, 6'1"-ish, 180, 4.4 electronic, threw for 2,200 yards, ran for another 1,100. It's interesting to kind of marry those two things together in Lincoln for a year to kind of see what can kind of happen with like kind of a mentorship kind of relationship, and how that can kind of help guide him through, you know, his career and maybe his start to Nebraska. So I think it's a great pickup. I think that, you know, you're probably going to go to Minchie here in a minute, but I think a lot of people could argue you got a more proven quarterback out of this deal the way that it went down versus the way that it was originally set out to be.
Right, real quick, I do want to stay in that room, but it's not what you think. I want to talk about the familiar face in a familiar place, and that's Danny Kaelin coming home.
Danny Dimes
back. What that means, because you got a group now with, as Elijah and I talked about a couple of days ago, you got 3 guys in the room now that have had Power 4 snaps in a room. But talk about Kaelin coming home.
Yeah, I think Danny Dimes coming back is a tremendous fit. I don't think it was like I kidded with him over text this weekend. I didn't have it on my bingo card. He's a very mature, you know, Elite 11 guy. He's a bit of a, you know, he's seen some other places. He got some time under his belt out there playing for the Cavaliers. I think he returns to Nebraska now with, you know, no Raiola up the depth chart. Mm-hmm. I think that he kind of knows the score about how things are going to kind of be this season, but then he understands, I think, that, you know, the year after that, it could be just him against Latif, you know, and I think you do bring in Trey Taylor, and I think things get very interesting, you know, when you start bringing that in there. But I think that room and to kind of steal my headline for my 3 and out tomorrow, that room's gone from complete and total uncertainty to an abundance. Mm-hmm. And it is really interesting to see how things change so quickly there, because you just had the one guy walking off the field from Las Vegas whose name was even in the room as of January 1st. You didn't, I mean, maybe things were kind of halfway sealed up with Minchie at that point, and you kind of knew like what the other third of it was going to look like. But to now know that you've been able to kind of trade Minchie and pick up the 2 that you got out of the portal with possibly now a 2026 name to kind of add to it, it's a pretty extraordinary turnaround for how things look in that quarterback's room. That is for sure.
It's Brian Munson with us here, HuskerOnline.com, as we talk some of Nebraska's portal additions. And Brian, kind of a 2-part 50-50 question here. With Nebraska's rushing attack, obviously you're going to try to get the quarterback a little bit more involved. That's why you bring in Calandria. But they've also brought in some massive offensive linemen. The smallest guy in Nebraska's offensive line is probably going to be Justin Evans at 315 pounds. You just got a lot of big boys up there. But you also haven't brought in a running back. Do you see Nebraska bringing in a running back before the portal window slams shut, or do they feel confident with what they have considering the offensive linemen they've brought in?
Yeah, this is the $1 million question I think that everybody has. I think when you looked at the portal itself before it opened up, I think you would have had probably 3 or 4 items that would have been on there. I think number 1, you would have had your quarterback. I think number 2, you would have had defensive linemen. I think you would have emphasized the need for kind of a really true nose looking dude, somebody that's 6'4" plus 325 plus pounds that can just sit on the 0 or sit in the 1 and just eat up space and eat up blockers. And then I think, whether you were kind of then thinking safety, or whatever, I think whether you're talking that was number 3 or running back was number 3, running back was definitely on the list. And I think the reason why was because, I think you just have to, you can't overlook, I think how I would say it, you can't overlook the, how much Emmett Johnson, influenced how things went for Nebraska this season. I'm struggling to find a better wording than that, guys. But what I'm trying to say is they ultimately, without Emmett Johnson this last year, I don't think anybody would have said that Nebraska should have even made a bowl game. You never saw a number 2 guy really step up to take on that role. And then it seemed like even when you did, it seemed to kind of go away either later on that game or the game after. And it just seemed like the rotation was very difficult to kind of figure out. It wasn't consistent. And then you did see maybe for a first couple 3 drives in the bowl game, you did get an idea that things could be pretty decent with Nelson, and that went away as well. I think that if Nebraska decides if they're not going to grab a portal guy, I think it puts undue pressure on that offense to try to find a replacement and try to find something suitable to work to go along with a 1-year kind of stopgap quarterback and what you're trying to get kind of done. And I think that the other reason why I would say that, I would lean towards taking one is because that schedule next year is way more difficult than what you had this year. So maybe not when it comes to, taking one. There have been no names. There's only been speculation. And the speculation right now hangs around a guy that's playing in the national championship that just happens to be from Omaha. And he's not in the portal. So that doesn't seem like a real great place to kind of go ahead and start, hanging your hopes around that one. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see what happens here. If Nebraska feels good about, moving forward with Nelson and Mosey and Ives and Booth, and, you do get Jamal Rule to come into the room. You just don't have a guy that's a demonstrated kind of bell cow that's in the room. And I don't think it would be a wise decision if you're Nebraska to do that personally.
It's Brian Munson with us here at HuskerOnline.com. And Brian, on the defensive side of the ball, things have moved quickly on the defensive line front. You brought in a defensive line coach. You brought in a JUCO commit. You brought in a couple transfers. That was something that we had circled really as far back as Thursday as, man, that's a concern. Like, we all had the defensive line circled. Have your questions and concerns on the defensive line front been alleviated? Do you still need to see more additions?
No.
What's your take there?
Yeah, they've not been alleviated. I mean, you had several spots, and when you move to an even front, when you're going from an odd front, where you're kind of putting your best guy, space eater, in the middle, you still kind of want those guys typically to kind of be very similar looking when you're going from odd to even. but Nebraska didn't have that guy last year that would have been successful in an odd or an even front. They didn't have a space eater, going to eat up 2 blocks, kind of guy. That's really where the problems kind of began for the Huskers. So when you turn your attention then, and the names that have kind of popped up, very early on, within the portal, when guys like, lately it was like Tafik Thomas, and then you had like Malcolm Alcorn Crowder. Crowder goes to SMU, and Thomas ends up going to Georgia Tech. There was another guy out of Washington that they were pursuing too. Last name was Black, and it ended up just not even visiting Nebraska and just went to Texas Tech. Nebraska missed on all those guys. Did they go get some defensive line help? Yeah, sure. But you're talking now more about that 3 to 5 technique where you already had like a Tyson Terry. You already had a Van Poppel. You got that 6'2", 6'3", 285, 295 guy that can kind of, be more of a single gapping, rush entity from like where they're going to be at the 3, the 4 eye or the 5 technique. But you never got a 0 or a 1. You didn't get that guy. So I struggle to kind of think that Nebraska feels good about how that kind of has finished up or how it currently looks. There's still time. And when we gave our report card, we'll have another report card tonight about defense. I think that's going to be marked correctly. Like you'll tell from all of our grades, me and Sips and Sean's, that we don't think like Nebraska hit the mark. So yeah, you had, kind of more of an edge looking 5 technique, 7 technique, maybe even to a guy that can walk up as a walk up outside 9. And I think like Dexter Foster, kind of fits the bill. Owen Chambliss, kind of fits the bill. Anthony Jones is another guy that kind of helps out there in that regard. Then you get those 3 to 5s that you got, like the junior college kid from over there in Iowa Western, Andy Burbahia or Burbija, and you've got some other things kind of happening there, but you just don't have that real space eating dude like that a Horace Lockett or a Malcolm Alcorn Crowder could have helped you out with, when it comes to that spot there in the middle.
Again, we're speaking to Brian Monson, HuskerOnline.com. I'm glad you brought up Iowa Western. I guess the question for me in assessing either coming from a college, a Power 4 college to college, or a JUCO coming in, how do you assess those and look at those? Because when I'm looking at it, again, I know guys that play some JUCO baseball. Those are the grinders, man. Those are the ones you're getting excited about because they're just doing it because
if you play JUCO, you got a love for the game.
You got a love for the game versus, and I'm not saying that the other ones don't. Do you get a difference or a different feeling when let's say Nebraska, they got the Iowa Western kid and you're like, ooh, like the sirens went off, like we just landed something special.
Well, I think his list of offers, is a good validation for what people kind of felt like he was capable of doing, number one. He was originally a Washington State guy that flipped to Kansas State. Kansas State loses their head coach, then he kind of opens things back up again. And it made all the sense for him to do it because academically he can't get out of there in January anyway. He's stuck till May. So he would have to be in Council Bluffs, trying to finish up academics before he could go wherever he wanted to go in the first place. So you might as well go ahead and back things off until your signing day in February and make the right decision. So kind of going back though to your, like, just how are junior college guys, perceived. That's kind of the original portal transfer. That's kind of the guys that were a little bit more ready-made, stealing the words of a former Nebraska coach that I had a great opportunity to kind of talk with about his thoughts, his theories on junior college guys. Junior college guys should be considered if they can come in and battle for the starting or find themselves into a two-deep role. That was kind of the line of distinction to where you were looking for that level of talent in a junior college player. And I fully believe that. I think that that's a great line. You're not looking for any type of development out of the junior college levels. You're looking for guys that can be a contributor next season, if not a starter. So I think it says a lot about Andy. And I think that he's got some tremendous stats. He was an All-American this last year. I had a buddy that went to a Iowa Western game, and he was just amazed with how great they were up front defensively, particularly on the defensive line. But, Andy went on to be an All-American as part of that group. So to be part of that kind of renowned group of players and stand out enough to be basically, get those kind of honors as an All-American says a lot about him as a player. So it's going to take him a little time to get to Lincoln. Just be patient. He's not a nose tackle. And maybe that's something, that we can talk about, because 2026 class isn't necessarily done. You do have a guy like Dylan Berryman, who was in for an official visit this last weekend from Louisiana. He's, 6'1.5", 330. But now you're talking about sticking a high school kid at the nose tackle in the Big Ten. And I don't think necessarily that's a great option either, even though he's supremely talented. So, but yeah, great get for Nebraska. And I think Nebraska could still get some additional width there in the 2026 class.
Brian Munson with us here. And Brian, before we get you out, any names that you have circled before the portal window slams shut, some names that Husker fans should keep on their radar?
I think the one that right now that everybody's kind of tracking is Paul Mubenga. Mubenga has been trending to Nebraska now for a while. I think Mubenga does a great job of kind of putting the bow on the offensive line room when you get like Tree and Brendan Black that have kind of been, put in there. I think Mubenga, because of his versatility to play inside outside, I think he takes a lot of pressure off Nebraska, because we've talked about it on your show, where when you go out there and you're putting, two previously pretty beat up guys, like typically like Teddy or Corcoran, out there at tackle, you immediately kind of like start dipping into like what's your depth chart look like? And it's never been good. Now when you're taking portal guys to kind of shore things up as you're kind of looking across, the line, you got Pritchett, you get Black, you got Justin Evans returning, maybe a Tyler Knack figures his way into right guard, maybe it's more a Mubenga, then you put Tree over there at right tackle, you got Gibson Pyle that still kind of figures in there, Tom Ua, at left guard. I think things sound a whole heck of a lot better by including Mubenga in that room right now. And I think that's the one that we're really waiting on. I think after that, you're looking at 2026s, the quarterback, the defensive lineman. I'm hopeful still that you're going to find a nose tackle. We don't have any names yet. I know there's some interesting guys that have popped in there in the portal from Oregon. And we'll have to just wait and see, guys, about what's going to happen about running back, whether Nebraska thinks that they're confident in what they've got, or does a guy like Sharmar Brown decide to jump into the portal, and what's Nebraska's response to that?
Ryan, amazing. We're coming to an end for you, though. You're getting a break. You get a break. What's it going to be like? Because this thing closes, tomorrow?
Well, I headed out to Florida with the kiddo on Thursday. We got our national invitational for long snapping in Panama City Beach. So I'm looking forward to getting out there and hanging out with him a little bit. We didn't do so well at it last year, so we're definitely committed to doing better this year. And I've only got 2 more years to kind of do this stuff with him, man. So I always remember, those trips, whether it was baseball or football or lacrosse or whatever. You've been through it too. Yeah. Once it's over, it's over. So we're headed out on Thursday, and I'll try to cover it as best as I can from afar. But I think, we're very limited here, and that's kind of why we did that report card the way we did it. Just spot checking it now, and then we'll see what else happens.
Well, Brian, as live as it gets, your day just got busier. This is from Hayes Fawcett 4 minutes ago. Paul Mubenga has committed to Nebraska.
Well, I guess I got to go write a story, guys.
Yeah. All right, Brian, we appreciate it, brother. Take care of yourself. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you next week. See ya.
Brian Munson, HuskerOnline.com. Great stuff from him. Let's take a break. Come back with stories that we missed. That's a good get.
Yeah, it is. Oh, you now have, 3 expected starters in the offensive line.
Well,
with Black, Tree Babalade,
Pritchett, Mabunga
left guard, probably. So you have Pritchett left tackle, Mabunga left guard. You have Mabanga, excuse me. Then you have Evans center, Black right guard, Tree Babalade right tackle. That is a completely retooled offensive line. Completely retooled.
Feels pretty solid, doesn't it?
Now what do they do at running back?
Yeah, come on, man. Close the door. You only got a few hours. Good stuff. Good stuff. Always on point, Brian Munson. Thinking of a song?
Yeah.
I go right here.
All right, we're coming back here.
All right. Welcome back to the morning hookup. Thanks for hanging out with us. Special thanks to Brian Munson, HuskerOnline.com. I don't know if this relates to the our first story that we missed. Kind of, I don't know. Weird way.
We get into the stories.
Yeah.
We can let this roll along.
Yeah, it's good. I don't know how I'm going to relate this. Good.
The stories we missed. The morning hookup.
Brooks Koepka headed back to the PGA Tour. Yes! Brooks is back after leaving Live Golf. He's back, but it comes with a price, my friend. They're going to hit him in the pocket. He'll miss out on almost 50 to 85 million in potential earnings. By the way, he won't be a part of the PIP program, and a $5 million charitable donation at the request of the PGA Tour, but he's back. And they've opened that window up to anybody else in a criteria that would like to join back by February 2nd.
Yeah, I'll add, I think that money he's losing out on, he probably made more over in Live Golf. He made the money that he wanted. Now get back to professional competitive golf. I'm glad there is penalties of sorts. Glad to have him back.
Yep. It paves the way.
It's
paving the way.
It paves the way. There should be some penalties for these guys leaving the league. But also it's not such a huge impediment that guys going to be unwilling to come back. I think the penalty was about right. It's good to have Brooks Koepka back. And you know what? If you want to play competitive golf, good on you. Because the PGA Tour is where the competitive golf actually is. So good on him. Excited to have him back. That's a good story. That's exciting.
I love it.
Bryson next, please. Because in Rahm, Bryson, Rahm, and Koepka are the three. I'm like, they need to be back in the PGA Tour.
I did see that there was a report that Rahm probably not sources, but DeChambeau has time left on it, but he has $1 million ways of leverage
And
because he's the biggest one. If that falls,
Liv probably falls.
Yes.
He's been non-committal in his future.
Yes. So a lot more. Tomorrow, Nebraska, Oregon, reactions, Henry T, Husker legend, and a whole lot more. You guys have a great Tuesday. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll catch you on a hump day.